Oh, hi, podcast listeners. There's many ways you can listen to the Real Nerds podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe on Stitcher Radio. You want to send us a Twitter message? You can do that. It's so easy, at Real Nerds. Like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com, where there'll be a lot of articles for you to not only read, but to listen to our previous shows. Do you like your stories told through pictures? Then you can also follow us at Real Nerds on Instagram. You can also call us, 720-6nerds5. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Camera, action!
Well, a real nerd knows who shot, and a real nerd can follow the plot, and a real nerd can...
talk film! I'm sorry.
Take it outside.
Well, a real nerd knows who shot, and a real nerd can follow the plot, and a real nerd will give it all they got. Lights, camera, action! Real nerds.
This is Real Nerds Podcast, the best movie podcast on the internet. So much better than this one about old school Hollywood. I mean,
Yeah, that show sucks. Fuck that shit.
yeah, I mean, if it's something like Yesterbore, Ballyhoo or something.
Yesterbore? Yeah. Ballybore. You could have gone Boring Who or anything.
Yeah, so I don't know who's in charge of that one, but fuck that show.
Yeah, fuck that piece of shit. Fuck him.
Definitely, Bally, who is this podcast?
I'm Ryan. I'm joined by Brad.
What up?
And I guess Zach's back after, a long absence sans Film Explosion episodes.
Yep, I'm back. Yeah, there's very few things that can pull me back out of the stress of putting together a useless Golden Age Hollywood show. No, but you guys were a part of it this year, in more ways than one. So you guys have a lot to be proud of. You contributed some killer acting chops over the airwaves, my friends.
Well, I mean, you didn't put me as number one Bill, so I don't really care.
Well, to be fair, as of now, by the time this episode comes out, it'll already be revealed, but the whole goal was to fool people into thinking it was one show and then to give them that surprise. But you would probably be first billed given the fact that you're the first correspondent, you see.
No, I get first bill because it's written in my contract.
I signed no contract with you.
in order for me to appear by my contract, if I'm being loaned out to other studios, is I get first bill.
Guys, don't fight. It makes me feel bad.
But yeah, no.
Welcome back, Zach.
Thank you.
Every week on Real Nerds Podcast, we see a new movie and we podcast our experience to the world. This week, we saw a really long one called Killers of the Flower Moon. Stay tuned where we'll recommend the film or not, play the trailer, and then spoil a true story. And then we also talk about movie news and things we've been watching. But that's what we do. We do movies. We're much more hip. I mean, if they could pick a cool something, it'd be us.
Yep. We pick movies, all right.
You look in the dictionary, there's a picture of the three of us right next to cool.
I know. Cool at the beginning, go say temperature, mild or something. And then below that will be two slaying these really awesome guys. And then you have to go to awesome. And then when you look at awesome, we're like, the third one down for that too.
Who's above us?
In awesome?
Yeah.
It's just the definition of awesome.
Okay. Fair enough.
And it says to see Real Nerds Podcast.
I love it.
I heard that's how it goes.
Yep. That's how the dictionary was written.
Yeah, I got nothing else. Brad, how's your week going?
Fine, I guess. Yeah, nothing amazing to report. It was Halloween yesterday. What did you guys do for Halloween?
Ooh.
When kids came to my door, I stole their candy and scared them away. So
nice. you pull your sidearm on them? Like,
Yeah. Actually, I just shot it into the air because I didn't want to, like actually hit anybody.
how accurate my costume is, guys.
No, I just took my kid all over town, and the cool thing about where we live is the town loves Halloween, and it's if you could pick small America trick or treating, it's definitely where I live. And there's groups of 20, 30 kids. Everybody's house has like a theme. They invite you in to have chili and stuff. It's pretty nice. So if you're looking for a fun place to go trick or treating, Idaho Springs is definitely one of them.
And
Very
free chili,
nice.
hell yeah.
Yeah. And we had a good one. We got to watch the niece and nephew came down to my parents' house, so we got to take them trick or treating for a little bit. And, Mattis was Darth Vader, and Miley was one of the iterations of Barbie from Barbie the movie, but she was also too enamored by a lightsaber, so she's Jedi Barbie. Is what
Hell
we
yeah.
yeah. We had to label her as going forward. But yeah, no, we did that, and then my girlfriend and I were driving down the street to go pick up stuff from King Soopers to make cookies. And when we were driving, our street that my parents lived on was not having a bunch of kids like running around it in the middle of the street. But we took a turn on one of the streets, and the whole street from the top of it to the end before you can turn was packed to the gills with people wandering in the middle of the street. And it felt like a zombie movie, and we were trying to crawl past them. Like you're just like, all I could think of was that line in Halloween where they see that all the patients have been loose, and I just went, since when do they just let them wander around? But yeah, we did that, and then we'll talk about it what we've been watching. But I got to introduce my girlfriend to an old favorite of this show, and along with Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and showed her part of Night of the Living Dead, and she got annoyed by Barbara screaming and shouting, so she's like, turn that off, we're watching The Great Pumpkin. So but yeah, just made pumpkin
For shame,
cookies.
Night of the Living Dead's the greatest horror movie of all time.
I made the effort to it. Maybe if she wasn't focused on making pumpkin cookies, she probably would have been a little bit more open to the experience. But
You got to tell her that after like 15 minutes she goes comatose, so you're good.
I did, and she's like, yeah, but she's still talking. I'm like, okay, but you've got to give it time. But yeah, no, but the movie, the big one that we were trying to get her to watch, she did, and I'll give a full report on that later.
Brad, you were at the Bug for horror movie trivia. Did that go well?
Yeah, we had like 15 people show up, which is nice. Oddly enough, at one point, someone who's involved with the play this weekend showed up. And so while the trivia was going on, I went back to the green room and allowed them to like load in their props. And as I opened the door, like this group of kids were coming down the sidewalk, and they thought, it was a door to like, somewhere they could trick or treat. And fortunately for them, we actually had like a bowl of candy left over from the actual trick or treat on Navajo Street in the green room. So I was just like, wow, this really looked out for you guys. So have at it.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. And then afterwards, like once trivia was over, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a pizza, and I'm going to stay here at the Bug, and I'm going to watch It Follows.
Hell yeah.
So I haven't seen that movie since it came out in theaters. So
Yeah, it's a great movie.
yeah. It's almost 2 hours, but it flew by.
Yeah,
For
it's a good
a
movie.
movie where not a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah, except for demons chasing you.
Yeah. God. Yeah. When that huge one like shows up in the house, like walks through the door
Yeah,
out of nowhere. It's good. It's a good effect. But
good stuff.
I'm interested to see what they're gonna be able to do with They Follows, like how that premise works with that.
The only thing I have to say is they really missed an opportunity. I said years ago that the name of the sequel should be It Still Follows, but what do I know?
Nothing.
Nothing. Way better than They Follow. But enough of this jibber jabber. Is that a word? This week on Real Nerds Podcast, we saw Killers of the Flower Moon. Brad, do you recommend Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yeah, it's a good movie. I don't know if it justifies its super long runtime. I feel like there's definitely a lot of stuff that probably could have gotten cut out, but what do I know about cinema, right?
Yeah, I mean, you need someone to tell you that real cinema is $200 million dramas and not $200 million superhero movies.
Yeah.
Zach,
Sorry.
I thought you were done, Brad.
No, I was gonna say just one of the most evil things I've ever seen committed to film. Story wise, just so tragic and yeah.
Zach, do you recommend Killers of the Flower Moon?
I do. It's one of the best films I've seen this year. I have some. I guess it would be better to just talk about it in the spoiler section, but there are elements of it that I objectively have certain issue with. And objectively, as an editor, I do agree you probably could have trimmed back on this. But as a Scorsese fan, I just enjoyed having as much of the runtime as we did. So I guess in a sense, subjectively, I just enjoyed living in that world for as long as it did to give me this full, detailed story of this very tragic instance in our history. And I think that the ending scene, we'll talk about it, but it's one of the most perfectly executed. Not for the reasons people think. It has to do with what it does in subverting a very tired trope. And I will say that of movies about Native American plights made by white directors, Scorsese is 10 times better than Kevin Costner or Michael Mann. Like he actually speaks an honest truth without sugarcoating it with white Western jargon. So yeah, I recommend people go see it, whether in a theater or when it comes out to Apple TV. Just give it a shot.
I think I lean a little more towards Brad, and I think actually Brad liked it a little more than I did. The movie is really well made, of course, and I think Robert De Niro is really good at it. But it felt meandering at times, and especially when the opening is a really big gut punch. And I mean, it's well made. It's hard to justify that long of a runtime, but it still moves by fast enough where it didn't bother me very much. But like Brad said, I think you can definitely trim some of it, and still tell an effective story. But we'll get into it. Here's the trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon.
You know, you got nice color skin. What color would you say that is?
My color.
The Osage. They have the worst land possible. But they outsmarted everybody. The land had oil on it. Black gold. Money flows freely here now.
I do love that money, sir.
This wealth should come to us. Their time is over. It's just going to be another tragedy.
When this money started coming, we should have known it came with something else. They're like buzzards circling our people. We're still warriors.
I ought to kill these white men who killed my family. I need you here.
I am right here. You've got to take back control of your home.
I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
See what about them?
See who's doing it.
Expecting a miracle to make all this go away. You know they don't happen anymore.
The story is unfortunately and pathetically and sadly a part of American history where members of the Osage tribe in Oklahoma were given land as part of being relocated there. And when they did, they discovered oil, which made them extremely wealthy. One of the rules they had, though, is that they had to have a white person be like a caregiver for them. And by doing that, there's also this caveat of leaving it to family members. And it was exploited by a man they call King, played by Robert De Niro. And
he could have played it.
He could have. Yeah,
he could have. And basically, it's the story of how these poor people are murdered and slowly poisoned to death in order to get land and money from them. And there's just, I will say that what's really great about Robert De Niro's character in this is he plays it in a way where you kind of like him at the beginning, but there's something sinister behind him. And I'm familiar with the Osage murders on a surface level, so I knew who that guy was, and I knew he was no good. But it is a great character piece where he can kind of, say, "Hey, I'm here for everybody," and you can see his machinations where he is actually manipulating these people and using them, and he disguises it in a way of being their friend and their leader of their community.
There's a strange patrician vibe about him where he's like you said, he's well loved by the community, and he gets to do something that Joe Pesci got to do in The Irishman, which is play against what you're expecting. Because if you see Robert De Niro in a Martin Scorsese movie, you're expecting something, and he gives you this totally immersed performance of a Western villain, essentially, like the greedy land grubber. And it's such a soft menace in a lot of places. Like, he is not, there's only a few times where he's screaming and shouting, and one of them is after he gives Leonardo DiCaprio's character a good paddling on the butt. But it's unnerving up to the very end to listen to him speak, because he's still trying to weave or web together some kind of way to keep his nephew ensnared in his grasp. It's a very, very striking performance. I don't think it's not the kind of performance that's going to get him an award or anything, but I think it's like one of the best roles he's had in a long, long time.
Brad, what were your first impressions of the film?
My first impression was like, hell, this is like The Departed, but for the Osage story. Yeah, there's like for all the talk about it being like this platform for like Osage actors, like I didn't feel like it really was. They get a lot of passive roles, and obviously all the white characters get the most interesting active roles. And Lily Gladstone, I think half the movie she's just gets to sit in bed and like look sick.
Yeah, that was a problem I had with the film, is I wish she was given if you're going to be that long, my argument would be you got to fill more screen time with her and from her perspective in the bed or out and about, whatever it is. But I sort of get why he does what he does. I'll mention in a second, but I get why he does it. But yeah, I agree. She should have had more screen time.
And it seems like those moments are just like excuses to break up the, something to cut away to so we can like pass time or something between scenes from the other stuff. So that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah. I'm going to just piggyback off you really quick, Brad. I agree, because I mean, this is where where they can trim this movie. And again, the performances are all really good, but I didn't need, 7-8 scenes of her in bed, getting a shot where he's, just telling her what's going on. And there's not too much dialogue. And my biggest problem with her character is not necessarily her role, but I didn't, since we're in spoilers, I didn't like that this part isn't really true to the story, but where she only decided that, Ernest was not a good man. And when she found out that he was giving her arsenic and poisoning her, not the fact that he arranged that her sister gets shot and that he blew up arranged to get her other sister blown up.
Yeah.
Like that, I had a really big issue with that characterization of her, where, I'm going to be with you even though you've killed my whole family.
Or facilitated it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just that part, I think that she was so thinly written, and the actress in the film is really, really, really good. And I think there's just a missed opportunity. I don't think anybody in their right mind would stay with someone who is directly responsible for murdering their family.
Yeah, there's an issue in that department, and I think that, frankly, no, don't get me wrong, I like the way she confronts him at that final scene, but yeah, she needs to be a little bit more pissed off earlier on, let alone throughout.
And then one more thing, like the whole conviction. The whole conviction process felt drawn out too, because I was like, we already saw, like, we know who did it, and it just feels like we're just watching scenes of them coming to terms with it. And I don't know if I needed all those details. Like,
I wonder if that is the result of how they overhauled the script, but wanted to keep the FBI thread intact, because this script was supposed to be an FBI procedural until Leonardo DiCaprio basically went to Scorsese and said, why is it from this perspective and why is it not from the community's perspective? And so they flipped the script. The one thing that they do, that it's one of the reasons why I don't get entirely angry about the way they kind of subvert the expectation of it being a great Osage Native American platform film, is that it does something in a Western that I appreciate, having gone through a lot of John Ford and John Wayne and other Westerns from that era that Scorsese admires, is that there's a tendency with a lot of his films to find empathy or sympathy with the most relatable character in the room, which usually will be a cis white male. And what I appreciate is that this movie gives no viewer ever watching this film an excuse to empathize or sympathize with any of these cis white males on screen, because from moment one, they are out to destroy this community. And in a certain sense, it's a nice subversion of a trope where this is a genre where people will think that John Wayne in The Searchers is a hero, where he's not. He's a horrible human being. And I do appreciate that this perspective allows for no excuses in terms of who you're supposed to side on with this story. I understand, though, why it's flawed. And yeah, it definitely needs trimming if that's going to be your focus.
Yeah, and when I say, the Osage don't get the best roles, the opposite would be that they'd have to play the villain roles. But in this kind of story, that wouldn't be much better, because then you'd be like, oh, well, you made them all the bad guys. And
yeah, and in a certain sense, I guess it's in the long run, it's probably better that he didn't try to. He and Eric Roth didn't try to think that they could write Osage material with them not being native writers. That's a thing where I'm like, okay, they at least knew a boundary that they shouldn't have crossed, because if they tried to insinuate knowing anything about an indigenous experience, it would not be it wouldn't feel authentic, and there would be complaint over that as well. So I think they kind of took the route that they could. Yeah, and frankly, as much as it is an issue that this isn't strictly from an indigenous perspective, I feel like Hollywood was never going to give any proper prop up for this kind of adaptation of a story without somebody like Scorsese championing it. I think they wouldn't have given it a second thought at that point, unfortunately.
Well, so I'll play devil's advocate. I don't think you can tell it from the Osage's point of view, really, because unfortunately they're the victims here.
I was going to say they're the victims no matter what, because it's a historical story. So you can't be fair. Like, oh, we're going to change this a lot. Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, they're going to, because of the situation in the whole scheme of stuff.
Right.
The whole scheme is they can't, because they didn't do anything wrong. So you can't retell the story to make them, have different characters or whatever, because what is their big thing that they did? They entrusted people to help them, and they were taken advantage of.
I feel like
So-
if you do that and it turns into a horror movie and not a historical drama, which is an interesting thing to think
I mean,
about.
I think you could say it's a horror movie because
Well, yeah, it is a horror movie too.
I will.
Like, yeah.
I will say, probably my favorite scene is I think back and I look at the whole film is actually the first scene with De Niro and DiCaprio together,
Mhm.
because De Niro is prodding him for information to set him up to marry an Osage woman.
Yeah.
And it's really, when you go back and look at the movie as a whole, it's really cunning and conniving and, frankly, pretty like disgusting, because he's looking at what he likes and then he's like, oh, you can be, a cab driver. And then he just happens to stumble upon this woman.
Mhm.
And even though, Leo says, no, I found her on my own. He doesn't know that, but it's not 100% true.
He's playing it. He's playing a simpleton essentially. Like,
I mean, he's stupid.
Yeah.
He's obviously gets easily manipulated. And I mean, there's also problems I had. So the FBI is going to let him go back to his home and talk to his uncle, and they're going to put him next to each other in a jail cell so he can figure out this defense.
I wonder if that's got to be just logistics though for making a movie, because like I haven't gotten. Yeah, sorry,
but also like
sucks.
Early 1900s. I don't know if they were like as serious about that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I know, but it still sucks you out of the movie. It just seems, I don't know. It just seems too convenient. And then, there's a part where he's being escorted back to jail after he decides he's going to flip again and, testify against his uncle. And there's an officer walking him back, or an FBI agent. And then he talks to, De Niro for, 10 minutes. And then that guy's just gone. What the fuck is this?
There's
little things that bothered me.
I've only gotten halfway through the audiobook of David Grant's book that the movie's based on. It seems like, and this is an interesting part of why it's weird that they go down the route that they do from the point of view that they do, is of all the people involved in that case, from what I've read and from what I've listened to thus far on the audiobook, is that Ernest Burkhart is somebody we have like a pretty much the least amount of information about, unless it pertains to his marriage to Molly. And so, and as a result, I feel like they're trying to flesh something out for the Burkhart character that in turn has to lead to some coincidental blocking and adaptations. I understand what you're saying. It's convenient, and I think it's unfortunately designed because it's a character you do want to examine, of like, why would you do this to somebody that you claim to love? But at the same time, they have to wrestle with like, well, we don't have, he never wrote a diary. We have nothing, like yada, yada,
but
yada.
they also, I mean, the movie glossed over that he actually was convicted of killing, her sister and that guy in the house that blew up.
Yeah, they do it at the end, which we can talk about whenever we're ready. But I think that like there were some scenes in the movie that I felt were, in terms of, I know that there's been discussion about like the whole $200 million price tag on this thing, and I thought a good chunk of that might have been actor salaries and other elements involved. But I'm watching the film 2 times now. I get it. It's in building those physicalized sets, and I know that that's a big price tag for a drama, but I'm happy that it got made with that price tag, from the simple perspective of watching him play with period detail and playing with that visual acumen and aesthetic. I think really the only true CGI shots in the movie are the landscape. Well, the landscape, that and the landscape though of the oil derricks, the wide vista shots and whatnot, and everything else seems to be on a more practical scale. So like, it's nice to look at that detail.
My issue with him in this price tag isn't the price tag. It's he degrades films because of their price tag, because of what they are. And he's no better, because he's sitting there saying that, Marvel, DC, whatever, is the death of cinema. I would argue that his $200 million straight to streaming movies are the death of cinema, because the only way he's going to get that movie made and the way he wants it to get made is if he goes to Apple or he goes to Netflix for The Irishman, because they're the only ones who are going to put that up. You can't, he's talking out of both sides. And I'm not saying that the film doesn't look great or it doesn't deserve whatever. If he's able to get that money and he puts it on screen, good for him. I just take issue with, you can't say stuff like that, because then people are going to attack you, and then you say that they're ruining cinema. But I think you putting a $200 million movie in limited engagement, then putting it on streaming is way more harmful than a superhero movie.
I mean, yeah, and I have my own complicated opinion about the very recent statements he's made, not necessarily the ones back with the Irishman and whatnot. But the one thing that I don't agree with is the way he's been creating tribes with that statement, because it's not smart to create tribes in film land, because all that does is cripple the mission of seeing a movie in a theater, period.
Yeah. And you can have room for both. You just tell a good story. And here's the thing. The movie is good, but I mean, I guess I had an issue with the end of the movie, because it's not that it's a radio play, and I get what it's saying, but it was putting himself in that cameo to say those words makes it lose the impact, and it's eye rolling to me.
I'm on the opposite camp, but I understand objectively why somebody would come away with that thought. My take on it was, number one, I appreciated that scene over just a bunch of blank text that says, oh, the Osage murders were blah, 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 never mentioned again. What it did for me, and I think part of it is it's not about the radio play aesthetic. It's about knowing what radio history was back then. And for context for the audience listening to this right now, the only other time that this story is talked about in film is in a brief section of the FBI story starring James Stewart. In a brief section, mind you. And what those radio plays back then were doing with true life stories or FBI stories like that, where they're adapting a true story, is that they are, digestible pieces of content for a hungry listening audience. And what was very shocking to me as a fan of that medium and watching that scene was realizing that, with the exception of that one brief stint mentioned in the FBI story, this story that we have watched unfold was reduced to nothing but an anecdote throughout a good chunk of the last parts of the 20th century, and did not receive the outrage that it deserved over time. Now, part of that's because our respect for indigenous people was not that glowing or thrilling up until maybe this current century. But it, to me, felt like a damning indictment of how we've treated this kind of story of injustice. And it's no different than people learning over the last 5 to 7 years about the incident in Tulsa. And they keep mentioning that in the film too. And one of my issues is that they shouldn't weave in Tulsa too much, because you're kind of relegating that to nothing. Whereas I would love for somebody to make a movie about Tulsa and why it's an important moment in our history. So I feel like what it does is it gets across the point of not just what happened after the fact, but it also manages to tell people, like, do you understand that this has been nothing but a relegated portion of our history, reduced to nothing but digestible content and anecdote on a true crime radio show. But I
don't have a problem with that part. I'm talking about the Scorsese cameo.
I think that's just a decision you make. I mean, I think you could have gotten Larry Fessenden to say those words, honestly, because Larry Fessenden's in this movie and everybody just wants to talk about Jack White being in that scene. And I'm like, Larry Fessenden's in a Scorsese movie. This is really cool. I get it though. Yeah, it's a little self-serving. I understand. And he's got 2 other audio cameos throughout the movie as well. So he's kind of all over the map on this film.
Brad, be our tiebreaker here. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with the, that was a nice way to do the epilogue text on Black as I watched it, like as soon as it happened, I was like, oh my God, Zach's just going to cream himself over this scene. But yeah, as far as like who's doing it, I didn't care. Like, it's like, oh, that's Scorsese, and he's a little stilted. But he's 80, he's earned it, and do whatever he wants. But the concept of it, though, that I appreciated that. I was like, cool. It's not just a text on screen.
Well, you're both wrong. Scorsese doing the last part takes you out of the movie because it's distracting.
Okay.
You're right. I did think about him being in the role for a couple of seconds, and I wasn't focusing on what he was saying. So
yeah, just put an actor there.
The first time I saw it, I was a little taken out. When I saw it the second time with my folks, I was far more appreciative of him doing that as a director. And it's almost, for me, I looked at it as like, in a weird way, it feels like him admitting like, look, maybe I shouldn't have been telling this story, but here it is. So deal with it. Like, I don't know, but it's definitely like it's a cameo that's not needed. But it's almost like, who else do you get to do that? Like, do you have Jack White's cameo extended to that portion, or Larry Fessenden? Or
I mean, you don't have to have anybody distracting. Just have the dudes who are in the play.
Actually, in a weird way, that would make it even more damning of what the story had become to people at that point. Like, just to have some random person mentioning it out. Like, nobody of any significance to the story we've just been watching. That would have been far more interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
I think if you didn't have any famous people in there, you would be focused on what they're actually saying. So it is a mistake to put Jack White and Scorsese in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Not Larry Fessenden, though. Larry Fessenden can go wherever he wants. I don't care.
I don't know who that was.
That
so
was only my big issue with the ending. I didn't have a problem with like what was said or how it was presented, because it's more interesting than, Ernest came home and lived in a mice-infested trailer with his brother. Like, that's fine. I think it's creative, but
I came here to watch a movie. I didn't come here to read.
But the actual final shot of the pullout to the ceremony today is a very nice way to like cap it off. Truly, like, that's a good final shot. It's like I said, it's I have issues with it, but for me, what I was looking out of it as a Scorsese fan, I got everything I wanted. Like, I can't completely complain, but I agree objectively. And as an editor, I'm looking at it going like, I'd tighten up here, but I'm also not Thelma Schoonmaker, so who am I to really judge? Like that. That's the part of me is like, as a fan, I want more of it. It's like when people want a 3-hour Avengers movie. I get it. I want all the content I can get. I do also understand how those things need to be trimmed down. Like, as much as I love The Irishman, I objectively see where you can trim that to a 3-hour film and not 3.5 hours. But I get it.
Yeah, because I'm right.
Yeah. Also, when you never see the first sister's death, like you on screen until the very end when they recap it. Just like, I don't know if I needed to actually, like, I feel like it's more powerful that we never saw it, and then it feels like just showing me what I imagined anyway. So it's like that could have been shortened.
Yeah. Here comes a big question, because this seems to be a controversy over the internet. Is Brendan Fraser any good in this movie?
I mean, he's fine in his role. I mean,
thank you.
Like good old boy lawyer who I expect to be a bad guy. So yeah, he plays it well.
Yeah, exactly. So shut up, internet. He's not being hammy. He's doing exactly what the role asked him to do.
Yep. And that's Killers of the Flower Moon.
Next week will be.
Here's the big movie news of the week.
It's real news.
No, I ain't got anything. I keep on. I mean, the big thing is they keep on shifting release dates because of the strike, and I'm grappling with what's offensive and what's not anymore. So, in the new Snow White live action film that they have coming out, they don't want to cast little people as dwarves because, it could look bad. So instead of giving those people roles, they make completely CGI models of the dwarves. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, that has me a little puzzled too. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to just erase little people? That's not
That's
cool.
what I mean. Like, isn't it better to have them in the movie? Because you're not making fun of them, right?
No, but I guess the question comes up is it engaging in a stereotype? Like, I see both elements of this, and like, I don't know, like I saw the photograph.
But what, one of them sleepy? I mean,
No, it's more
I get that
yeah.
But I mean, you're still taking jobs away from hardworking actors.
That's the other element that I see, which is this like, okay, yes, Peter Dinklage has an opinion on it, and I fully respect his opinion on that story being retold and how it's just not a momentous move forward for little people actors. But I also understand how little people actors would like work too, you know?
Yeah. Is it more offensive to have like a normie be in a green suit and then make them a dwarf? I mean, I don't know.
They're doing that in Wonka.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, where's the line drawn? I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this because I would rather see like, Warwick Davis as Grumpy. You know what I mean?
I have a third opinion, which is why the fuck are they remaking Snow White when they can make an original piece of material? It doesn't make sense, especially after Pinocchio proved that you guys don't have a handle on this anymore.
I mean, back when the first Snow White came out, I'm sure there was someone saying like, why are they even adapting this book? Like, it was perfect as a book.
I don't understand why are they adapting this book.
No, the big complaint was, why is he spending close to $1 million to make a movie? This is fucking crazy. I to be honest, like, and this is, I know, isn't this one supposed to go to theatrical, Brian, or is this straight to?
Not till next year. Like my Mission Impossible. Fuck.
Yeah. I have a question about that too, but I'll just say that, like, see, this is the thing that, like, this is the part of the Scorsese thing that I do think is like, okay, instead of making a bunch of IP material like Snow White, which people are going to barely go to, make a new story, put that into theaters and give it a chance to thrive. And I don't think that a remake of Snow White is what anybody was asking for, especially like, I don't agree with the son of David Hand, the director of the first Snow White, being mean to Rachel Zegler. But I also understand of like, that first Snow White's amazing because it's an achievement in animation, and to just make another live action movie of it just seems kind of disingenuous. It's similar to Pinocchio. I'm just like, I don't need you to remake Pinocchio. The one we got is great. Like, we don't just push that a little harder on your streaming platform. That's also getting rid of things like Willow. Like,
remake it, but find its own style and voice. Like,
totally.
If you're gonna,
that's where the other Disney ones have been kind of boring, because you go and you're like, oh, this is just a realistic looking version of the existing thing I already saw. So it's not that much of a improvement. It's just like, oh, there's more detail. Cool.
And I highly doubt that it's entrancing the interests of a younger audience, whereas you could show them a cartoon or an animated feature, whatever you want to designate it as, and get a better effect out of it, a better result. It'll entertain them more than watching a live action version of the same thing. Because the Jungle Book is good, it doesn't mean you had to keep doing that formula all over again.
That's just, but from a business perspective, like, it still brings people out. I mean, we panned The Little Mermaid, but it still was like the third highest grossing movie of the year. So
yeah, but that's also coming in a year where Disney's below expectations, I think is. Yeah. Something around that. Yeah. Again, it's about like they're still not making the money that they need to make. Like, I think Iger says
doing way better than everyone else, though.
They are, but they're not hitting the goals that Iger wants, which I really don't care what Iger thinks, because he's just one of many billionaires not wanting to pay actors. So I don't care. But
it's Igor.
He's a hunchback henchman. Cool. That's what I figured he was the whole time. But
hey,
what about what do you feel about, though, Ryan, the name change on Mission Impossible? I'm a little puzzled by that decision. They're changing the name of Mission Impossible 8 from Dead Reckoning Part 2 to just something else now, and I don't understand why they're doing that.
So the Steelbook I just got says Dead Reckoning Part 1, and there's no Part 2 one now?
That's the thing that I don't understand, is like, you've already made a decision to make this a Part 1, Part 2. What is stopping you from going through with that?
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, at first I was like, I got the Steelbook and then I thought to myself, man, by the time the other movie comes out, Best Buy won't have Steelbooks. So I have 7 Mission Impossible movies that have Steelbooks and the next one won't have that option. What am I going to do? But now it's going to have a completely different name.
You'll be okay because Paramount's already putting Steelbooks on Amazon already. Like the Scream movies, I got those Steelbooks from Amazon.
Yeah, and I think all of Halloween H2O just got a Steelbook from them as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just moving to them. So yeah. I think but I like the new name. It's called Kami Crusher, so I'm down.
Really?
No. Oh, he's fighting Russians.
I don't know anymore.
I don't know. It's kind of weird because it's just like you committed to this now for like what 4 years since this thing has been in production, and now you're just suddenly going to shift things around. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, just pick a lane, pick the lane or drive on the lane you've already been driving on anyway. It's not. Look, I don't know how well it did compared to other ones, but it seems like it still made a good chunk of money enough to keep you guys in good stead with the Mission Impossible fandom. I don't know.
It did average, but not.
Well,
for the price
Barbie
tag.
And Oppenheimer kind of stole its thunder. So
yeah.
I guess I could see like changing the name will make people think it's a completely new movie if they weren't blown away by the first one.
Yeah. I actually read an interesting take on why, I mean, it still made a lot of money, but why it didn't make as much is that they spent too much time spoiling the stunts.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be better.
The best stunt is in the trailer.
Yeah. So it'd be better if they just kept it more under wraps with the stunts. And I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But I get why they highlight it because they're super cool.
And it's like the second train finale in a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah. But the part where he's climbing up the train while it's falling off the edge is incredible.
Yeah. But if you think of it as like a larger 2-part story, it's like, okay, this is like, an homage to what was been done before, but better. And then the second half is going to give you the new good stuff. And now apparently that's just going to look like a whole new movie at this point.
Well, they already shot 80% of it. So
no, I mean, it's already done, but like they're going to market it as like, hey, we made another Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
Hopefully 6 months from now, like you'll have a little bit of memory loss and think like, oh, I'm getting something completely new. And
yeah,
you didn't see that other one in the theater, so you're not going to know.
Hey, we watched the thing throughout the week. I call it what we've been watching.
So, this is the stuff we've been watching.
Zach, tell me something you've watched this week.
Well, we've all seen this movie before, but my girlfriend had never seen it. So for context, my girlfriend likes horror movies, but she's not into every one of them. And one of the things that she has declared up and down is that she will never watch Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2 or the Evil Dead remake or Evil Dead Rise. She has a comfort issue with the level of intensity that those movies can provide. And like, especially with the Evil Dead remake and Evil Dead Rise, I would not, unless she asked me to show them to her, I would not go down that route because they're intense. I think you would agree with that, Ryan.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of like big cartoons. I guess she has a problem with cartoons.
But, I think it's there's a level of intensity to it that if you remove being a horror fan and just watch
I don't understand why someone is uncomfortable when a demon says, come down here so I can taste that pussy, and then cuts her tongue with a razor. I mean,
I think you just explained it. But I did manage to say, okay, well, there's this other film, Army of Darkness, that is an Evil Dead movie, but lots of fun and less bloody. So we sat down and watched that, and I needed to make sure she at least was paying full attention to the first 5 minutes because it gives her an up to speed of why Ash is back in medieval times. You just need to know that sort of like on a base level. Once the movie started unfolding, I think she was taken aback by it was set in medieval times, even though I had told her that's when it takes place. But as soon as Ash said the whole, well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants, she was taken aback and giggling. And I'm like, yeah, he's an idiot. You have to understand that Ash Williams is an idiot. He's only good at fighting Deadites and nothing else. And the final review from her, Ryan, she enjoyed it. She gives it a 4 out of 5.
Nice.
But she said that, yeah, Ash is funny, but he's also just annoying at times. And I'm like, that's the point of the character.
Bullshit. Erroneous. Erroneous on both accounts. That is a 5-star movie, and Ash is a god.
She like the whole God, what's the name of the maid character that he's enamored with for a minute?
Sheila?
Sheila, when Sheila slaps him, she was like, yeah, go girl. And then the whole give me some sugar baby happened and her jaw dropped. And I'm like, yeah, he's an idiot and sort of a misogynist. So you just kind of have to understand that everything bad that happens to Ash needs to happen to him.
Zach, you left out the most important part, that he is sexy and irresistible to women. Is why
that is true.
Not that he's a misogynist. Gee, many Christmas. I mean, he saved her life, and even after she got real ugly. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She also, you know what she really liked though too was we had watched Nightmare Before Christmas earlier in the day, so it was kind of fitting to wrap up on a film that has really great stop motion. And she was very impressed by how some of the shots were bleeding in, and like part of the thing with Scream Factory's restorations is you can see where the effects plates are separate from the main plate. So there were some times where she was like, oh, that doesn't look realistic. But then when the skeletons are on the descent and the march, like she was very impressed by those visual effects and how goofy it got with the characters. Though she was very shocked though by the shot of the skeleton using a femur bone as a flute. She was like, what is going on? And then I was like, fun things. That's what's going on. Amazing things. So yeah, I showed her the theatrical cut though, because I was like, it's
a
probably
little easier to get through.
Yeah. And also like the ending is a little bit more absolute, whereas the director's cut has the whole, he doesn't make it back to S-Mart thing. So, that I think ended up being a better viewing experience for her, but she enjoyed it. Yeah. So like she'll probably never want to sit down with an Evil Dead movie at all, but this is one that I could show her and she'd be more than fine with it. It's okay, Ryan. I still love Evil Dead, and Evil Dead Rise is going to be on my film explosion list come hell or high water. So
nice.
Yeah.
Brad?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good one to talk about. Like I watched a lot of stuff, but none of it was like, oh, I gotta tell people I saw that. I'm surprised you're not going to eulogize Matthew Perry in the news.
We did that last week.
Did we?
Yeah.
God, this whole system is so out of whack.
So, yeah. I mean, I'll do it again. I was thinking as throughout the week, because I love Friends, and Brad knows this because Brad's known me for almost 30 years. I would record the shows on VHS, and I was thinking, my favorite Chandler moment. And to me, it combines two things I love. And it's a great episode. It's called The One Where No One's Ready. And it's a bottle episode. It only takes place in Monica's apartment. And they're trying to go to this fundraiser. And Chandler is sitting and he just tells the group, he says, Donald Duck never wore pants. But when he gets out of a shower, he wraps a towel around his waist. I mean, what's that about? And to me, I think that's my favorite Chandler line. And it always made me think, I was like, yeah, why does he wear a towel around his waist? Yeah.
Yeah. My girlfriend's a huge Friends fan. So when that news broke, her heart was crushed.
Yep, mine too.
And I'll say that and I like Friends too. So it was a different blow on a different level for me too. But also his addiction issues. They haven't revealed yet what fully got him to drown. Did he? Did they?
No. My guess is, you can read that law enforcement didn't find anything, and by the time they got there, he had already passed. So,
wonder if he had a heart attack and that's how it drowned or whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But yeah, no, it's not even just Friends. I really liked, he did a pilot. I think it was like Mr. Sunshine or something like that. Was that Clerks cinematographer Dave Klein shot that was really good. And I like the whole 9 yards and the whole 10 yards. They're really fun movies.
They're fun.
He's a lot of fun in them. I've still never seen the movie he did with Salma Hayek, though.
My wife and I love that movie. It's called Only Fools Rush In.
Yeah,
It's
I still
definitely
need to
like
see that.
a cheesy romantic comedy, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but yeah, R.I.P. Matthew Perry.
Well, since Brad didn't watch anything of note, I watched Mickey Mouse Trick or Treats, where Mickey and the gang get turned into monsters because they played a trick on a witch.
Ooh, okay.
And
So
now
who turns into what monster?
Well, Daisy turned into a princess because they turned into whatever costume they had for Halloween.
Okay.
So Donald Duck was a frog. But they use this cool stop motion animation that they used for their Christmas special. And it's really light and it's fun and it's stupid for an adult like me to like it, but it was cute. And yeah, but then we just watched the normal Halloween staples. My wife forces me to watch Hocus Pocus and The Nightmare Before Christmas. So
nice.
Nothing fun to report. I'm still playing Spider-Man and Mortal Kombat and Mario Wonder. Wonderful things.
Wonderful. I like to hear that.
I mean, I can talk about the Two Jakes or Cutthroat Island or the Dr. Moreau if you want. Or Deep Impact. Or the Phantom of the Opera.
Cool.
Yeah, see? Nothing.
I think you talked about Phantom of the Opera last week, Brad.
Did I?
Yep.
Well, I can't. I guess it was like, yeah, time just doesn't make sense anymore.
It's always been an illusion.
I saw Seabiscuit for the first time. You were right. It's great. It was on your film explosion list.
Yep. Damn right it is. Yeah. Glad you like Seabiscuit. Good.
My back. My back.
He's blind in one eye.
He lied to us. You don't just throw something away if it's not,
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
The one thing about that film that still that has like I defended it on the film explosion, but I can acquiesce to this. When you watch that movie years later and realize half of it's an American Experience documentary by the way it's narrated, it's a little jarring at first because you're like, oh, did I turn on PBS on accident? But I mean, I like the way it's done, but like on a surface level, I could be like, oh, that's an interesting way to start, continue your story. But okay. Which more movies did that?
Actually, I did have a question. At the end, Elizabeth Banks is like telling, Jeff Bridges, like, hey, you should let him ride because I know you're upset about your son, but you gotta like let loose the reins and everything, let him do it. And then she's at the stable, like not watching the race. And then she decides to watch the race. And so she runs out to the parking lot and then watches from the car. I'm just like, why was she there? Like, why wouldn't she just be like arm in arm with him, with her husband? Cause she was the one who was like advocating that he go. But she stayed behind the stable to not watch it initially.
I need to rewatch the film, but yeah, that's a fair point. Like, why isn't she just go like, I'll be here by your side while the races run?
Yeah, she's like, yeah, you should let him do it. Just let him do it. And then it cuts to the race, and she's at the barn, like feeding a horse, and just looks like she's like, I can't watch this. And then she decides to, and then she runs out of the parking lot, and like stands on a car to watch the rest of it. And it's like, I don't understand why you were the one who was advocating for everyone to go watch it. Why are you staying behind?
Maybe she's feeding the horse thinking, I'm going to be Betty Brant for 2 more movies. God, if only Judd Apatow would save me.
Sam Raimi wants me on a set these days, and I can't be at the Jeff Bridges
race.
The stands shoot that day. So
Sam Raimi had her under a Hitchcock personal contract.
Yeah, we couldn't just have her disappear from the movie, so we just shot separate scenes of her going up late.
Sam Raimi ghost directed him.
I'm like, oh fuck, we forgot to put her in the scene.
Yeah. Number 3 is missing from the call sheet. What happened?
Oh my god. I love this fake making of Seabiscuit.
Next week we're seeing The Killing.
The Killer.
I mean,
The Killing is a Stanley Kubrick movie.
It is, and it's actually really good.
It is. It's fantastic.
We should be watching Big Shark, but whatever. You and your schedule.
You got to get him to watch The Room before he'll watch Big Shark. You've got to give him the entry movie.
I know if he sees Big Shark on like the last Friday of the month and not the Room first, yeah, that is pretty messed up.
That's the wrong way to go about this with Tommy Wiseau. You have to start from the beginning of his filmography.
So after that, the following week is The Marvels, and then after that will be Filmsplosion 2013. So start thinking about your lists.
Whoop, whoop.
How many more Filmsplosions do we have to do this year? Oh, God.
I don't know, but I've started making it. Yeah.
The year-end one.
I know. I'm just like, it feels like we've done so many Filmsplosions this year, like more than average, but it's the same amount. I get it.
Yeah, stay tuned for next year because the SAG strike, even if it ends tomorrow, you're still going to see a delay. So,
yeah, hold on to your butts.
Yeah, buckle up.
Until next time, catch Zach at the Yesteryear Ballyhoo review.
Yay!
You can get it anywhere you get podcasts.
And you can, and here's the tease, guys. Now it's already been revealed. Listen to the War of the Worlds episode featuring Mr. Bradley Haig and Mr. Ryan Frost in acting roles. Yes.
Yes. And we will see you at the movies. Bye.
Well, a real nerd knows who shot at a real nerd. Can follow the plot and a real nerd will give it all they got. Lights, camera, action. Real nerds.
Thanks for listening to Real Nerds Podcast, a Nebulous Visions production. Stream or download episodes, read articles at realnerdspodcast.com. Stream us on Apple or Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. Follow us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. Twitter and Instagram at Real Nerds. Watch us on YouTube, Real Nerds Podcast. Email us at realnerds@gmail.com. Call us at 720-6nerds5. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill, Mike at Plan 9 Studios, and Bolognium for all of our groovy theme songs. And that's how you fucking do it!